Okay, guys, we're going to keep going. 17th of the 12th, 2013, Washington Times front page. CIA tied to cult accused of abuse. Justice probes links to finders. A Justice Department special task force is investigating whether the CIA used a cult called the Finders as a front organisation to provide computer training to intelligence agents in the 1980s. The task force is also trying to determine whether the CIA, in an effort to hide any links with the Finders, impeded local law enforcement probes of the Washington Area Communal Group for Child Abuse in 1987. The central question being asked is, did the CIA have an association with this group, and did it try to shut down their state and local officials' investigations of child abuse for purposes of protecting one or more of its operations? Said a senior federal law enforcement official familiar with the probe. A senior CIA official yesterday denied that the agency was involved with the Finders or tried to impede police probes of the cult. Most days we expect our share of unusual questions, but this one is clear off the wall, a CIA spokesman told the Washington Times. Any claim that we obstructed justice in this case is nuts, the spokesman said. In fact, he said, reading from a prepared statement, we cooperated with law enforcement authorities when questions arose in 1987. A Washington computer training company that employs Finders members said it trained CIA personnel, but the firm's president denied it was owned by the Finders. He said he was unaware of any use of the training for covert activities, which is what they would say. Justice Department officials have declined to discuss what, if anything, their probe has uncovered. We are still in the review process, a senior official said. The Finders, a group that has dwindled from about 40 members to fewer than a dozen, made front page CIA, page A21. Okay, let's read from that. The Finders, a group that has dwindled from about 40 members to fewer than a dozen, made front page news in February 1987 when two of its members were arrested in Tallahassee, Florida on charges of child abuse. The case received close media scrutiny, partly because of accusations that the group was involved in satanic rituals, but the charges were dismissed by a Florida judge because all the judges are in their pocket. The Justice Department formed the task force in mid-November after several members of Congress received copies of previously confidential U.S. Customs Service records suggesting a cover-up in the Finders case to protect the CIA. The Times has obtained these customs records and documents from both federal and local law enforcement agencies and the intelligence community that chronicle the investigation of the Finders. One of the key documents that have prompted the Justice Department and members of Congress to question what happened 6 years ago is a report dated 13th of April 1987 that was written by a junior Customs Service agent who was on the original team that raided the Finders' property in Washington and Virginia. And if you remember the CIA saying it's still under the review process, 6 years later? 5 or 6 years later? The investigation into the activity of the Finders had become a CIA internal matter. The Metropolitan Police Department report has been classified secret and not available for review, the agent wrote in his memo to superiors. I was advised that the FBI had withdrawn from the investigation several weeks prior and that the FBI Foreign Counterintelligence Division had directed MPD not to advise the FBI Washington field office of anything that had transpired, the memo said. So they were involved, the CIA, telling people not to give the FBI any information. No further information will be available. No further action will be taken. Other Customs Service documents and records from the FBI and Metropolitan Police provide indications that the CIA had links to the Finders, or at least to some of the group's members. A Metropolitan Police document dated February 19, 1987, quotes a CIA agent as confirming that his agency was sending its personnel to a finder's corp, Future Enterprises, for training in computer operations, and a later customs service report says that the CIA admitted to owning the finders organisation as a front for a domestic computer training operation, but that it had gone bad. A senior customs service official confirmed the content of the memos and said the agency only had a small role in the case. A CIA official, who asked not to be named, confirmed that the agency had sent personnel for computer training to a company called Future Enterprises, Inc. But he cautioned, "I'm not sure if that was a finders organisation, as suggested by the Metropolitan Police and Customs Service reports." Joseph Marinich, the president of Future Enterprises, Inc., said he once had a contract to train CIA employees in computers, but he denied that he or his firm had any involvement with the finders or acted as a front company for the cult on behalf of the CIA. "I'm shocked and appalled that our company's name exists in any law enforcement files." Mr. Marinich said that when the news reports on the finders broke in February 1987, he discovered that his tax accountant, R. Gardner Terrell, was a member of the group. "It was a total surprise to us, and Mr. Terrell's employment was ended," Mr. Marinich said. Mr. Terrell, who left the finders a few years ago and no longer lives in the Washington area, could not be reached, but a friend confirmed that he worked for Future Enterprises while a member of the finders. Current and former members of the group said Mr. Terrell's work for Future Enterprises was separate from the group's other activities. Current members of the finders said they did not have any interest in Future Enterprises and denied working for the CIA or any other intelligence organisation. "I guess you could say we're odd," said Steve Usden, a freelance writer associated with the finders, "but we're not criminal." Yes, I'd like to... I question that. Because we learnt up above in previous videos when I was reading near the beginning, it did say there was CIA involvement and the CIA admitted it. Dear me. Okay, Finders Group, WSTA, Sexual Exploitation of Children, Obstruction of Justice, PI, OO, WMFO. On the 14th of the 12th, 93, Reiter was advised by Senior Special Agent Blank of the US Customs Service headquarters that on that date a meeting had transpired between Blank, and the Public Affairs Office at Custom Headquarters. Blank advised that Blank was inquiring into caption matter and stated that he knew the FBI was conducting an investigation into the Finders Group. Blank stated that he provided Reiter's name to Blank as the FBI point of contact for this investigation. Reiter briefed Special Agent Blank, WMFO media representative, Special Agent Blank, WMFO C4, and SSA, I don't know what the first S stands for, Secret Special Agent, I don't know, Secret Service Agent, FBI HQ, CID, VCU, concerning this. On the 15th of the 12th, 93, Reiter was telephonically contacted by Blank, who inquired as to the status of captioned investigation. Reiter referred Blank to the WMFO media representative and provided him with no information. On the 15th of the 12th, 93, Reiter briefed Special Agent Blank and Secret Service Agent Blank concerning this media inquiry. Through a glass, very darkly, cops, spies, and a very odd investigation. The case is almost 7 years old now, but matters surrounding a mysterious group known as the Finders keep growing curiouser and curiouser. In early February 1987, an anonymous tipster in Tallahassee, Florida, made a phone call to police. Two well-dressed men seemed to be supervising 6 dishevelled and hungry children in a local park, the caller said. The cops went after the case like bloodhounds, at least at first. The two men were identified as members of the Finders. They were charged with child abuse in Florida. In Washington, D.C., police and US Customs Service agents raided a duplex apartment building and a warehouse connected to the group. Among the evidence seized, detailed instructions on obtaining children for unknown purposes and several photographs of nude children. According to a Customs Service memorandum obtained by US News, one photo appeared to accent the child's genitals. The more the police learnt about the finders, the more bizarre they seemed. There were suggestions of child abuse, Satanism, dealing in pornography, and ritual animal slaughter. None of the allegations was ever proved, however. The child abuse charges against the two men in Tallahassee were dropped. All 6 of the children were eventually returned to their mothers, though in the case of 2, conditions were attached by a court. In Washington, D.C., police began backing away from the finders' investigations. The group's practices, the police said, were eccentric, not illegal. Questions. Today things appear to have changed yet again. The Justice Department has begun a new investigation into the finders and into the group's activities. It is also reviewing the 1987 investigation into the group to determine whether that probe was closed improperly. Yep. Justice officials will not elaborate except to say the investigation is ongoing and that it involves unresolved matters in relation to the finders. One of the unresolved questions involves allegations that the finders are somehow linked to the Central Intelligence Agency. Customs Service documents revealed that in 1987, when customs agents sought to examine the evidence gathered by Washington, D.C. police, they were told that the finders' investigation had become a CIA internal matter. The police report on the case had been classified secret. Even now, Tallahassee police complain about the handling of the finders' investigation by DC police. They dropped this case, one Tallahassee investigator says. Like a hot rock. DC police will not comment on the matter. As for the CIA, ranking officials describe allegations about links between the intelligence agency and the finders as hogwash. I'm sure they do. Perhaps the result of a simple mix-up with DC police. I don't think so. The only connection, according to the CIA, a firm that provided computer training to CIA officers, also employed several members of the finders. And some CIA agents were members of the finders. We've just learnt that. The many unanswered questions about the finders case now have Democratic Rep. Charlie Rose of North Carolina, chairman of the House Administration Committee, and Florida's Rep. Tom Lewis, a Republican, more than a little exercised. Could our own government have something to do with this finders organisation and turn their backs on these children? That's what all the evidence points to, says Lewis. And there's a lot of evidence, I can tell you this. We've got a lot of people scrambling, and that wouldn't be happening if there was nothing here. Perhaps, but the finders say there is nothing there, at least nothing illegal. The finders have never been involved in child abuse, pornography, Satanism, animal slaughter, or anything of the kind, says the group's leader, Marion David Petty. Petty, too, says the group has never been connected to the CIA. Of course they'd say that. Look, if you're an agent for the CIA, you would say you're not an agent. Especially if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. In an interview with the US News, Petty described the finders as communal, holistic living and learning arrangement. Learning arrangement. The group numbers some 20 members, Petty says. They do freelance journalism, research and competitor intelligence for a variety of mostly foreign clients. The finders work for no foreign governments, Petty says. Their duplex in a residential northwest Washington neighbourhood is decorated with global maps and bulletin boards. Residents of Culpeper, Virginia, 90 minutes from Washington, say the finders have operated an office there too from time to time. That office contained computer terminals and clocks reflecting different time zones around the world. CIA officials say they referred all matters concerning the finders and the police investigations to the FBI's Foreign Counterintelligence Division. FBI officials will not comment. Law enforcement sources say some of the finders are listed in the FBI's classified counterintelligence files. None of this phases Petty. He says the CIA's interest in the finders may stem from the fact that his late wife once worked for the agency and that his son worked for a CIA proprietary firm, Air America. Overall, says Petty, we're a zero security threat. When you don't do much of anything and you don't explain, people start rumours about you. To judge from the latest case, some of the rumours can last an awfully long time. I don't believe they're rumours. From FBI WMFO to Director FBI Priority, Legat Brussels Priority, BT Unclassified. VCU-CID for Secret Service Agent Blank. Subject Finders Group White Slave Traffic Act, Sexual Exploitation of Children, Obstruction of Justice Preliminary Inquiry, OOWMFO. For information of Legat Brussels, the Department of Justice DOJ has requested that the FBI conduct a preliminary inquiry into allegations made by a blank concerning child sexual abuse by a group known as the Finders, and which role, if any, was played by the United States intelligence community during the investigation of same. The following information is provided as a background for Legat Brussels. In 1987, the children who attended the school during the time of alleged sexual abuse was Blank has attempted to interest congressional members and the U.S. Customs Service, USCS, in his effort to enhance efforts in the area of child sexual abuse and investigating claims of organised sexual abuse. During October 1993, Blank met with Congressman Rose, Florida, to discuss allegations concerning a group known as Finders. Blank alleges that the Finders are involved in a well-organised child abuse scheme and that Blank, in conjunction with the State Department and the FBI's Foreign Counterintelligence sections, conspired to cover up those abuses. The Finders Group came to public light in February 1987 when two members, Blank and Blank, were arrested in the Tallahassee Police Department on misdemeanor child abuse charges resulting from a complaint that 6 children under their supervision were unkempt and neglected. Information developed subsequent to the arrests linked these individuals to 2 locations in the Washington, D.C. area. The TPD contacted the Metropolitan Police Department, Washington, D.C., and passed on this information. On the 5th of the 2nd, 87, MPD executed search warrants on 2 properties owned by the Finders in Washington. D.C. Special Agent Blank, USCS, was along as an observer during one of these searches. A joint investigation conducted by MPD and FBI, WMFO, led to the identification and interview of the mothers of the 6 children, 2 of the fathers, and several other key members of the Finders Group. The results of this investigation was presented to the USAO for the District of Columbia on the 18th of the 2nd, 87, with prosecution declined for violation of Title 18, U.S. Section 1201, kidnapping, and 2251, sexual exploitation of children. The Finders were determined to be an alternate lifestyle group, but guilty of no violation of federal law. During the execution of the search warrants by MPD at the 2 Finders properties, USCS Special Agent Blank, and then a lot of blank. WMFO has interviewed MPD and FBI personnel involved in the Finders investigation, and to date has been unable to locate anyone with knowledge of documents Blank claims to have seen or evidence of any outside inquiries, interference in the conduct of the 1987 Finders investigation. The WMFO investigation did reveal that Blank was confronted by the WMFO case agent on the 19th of the 2nd, 87, concerning the items he claimed to have seen. Blank contended that he believed he did see these items and stated that he would contact MPD concerning them. The WMFO case agent contacted the MPD detective assigned the case, who advised that none of the items mentioned by Blank existed in the items seized by the MPD. The detective related that Blank was with him at the search sites and it was... Sorry, guys. And it was not possible that such items were missed. The detective also advised that Blank had not contacted MPD in an attempt to view the seized items. Blank was interviewed by WMFO on the 20th of 12th, 93 at USCS headquarters. And how do we know these people aren't covering up for them? Blank advised at the time he was assisting MPD on the finder's investigations. He was assigned to the USCS Office of Enforcement in Reston, Virginia. He indicated that USCS never opened a case on finders and that his investigative efforts were contained in an administrative file. Blank, 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 blank. Forwarded to Customs Headquarters with no response received. Lead. Legat Brussels at the American Embassy, blank, blank, contact blank, American Embassy, blank. And a big blank, and more blanks. Satel results to FBI HQ, CID, VCU, attention SSA and WMFO, forwarded FD 302s to WMFO via facsimile at that phone number. Okay, subject, what was this? Top priority. Finders Group, white slave trafficking, obstruction of justice, preliminary inquiry. Mirror, I can't read that. For information of San Diego Department of Justice, DOJ has requested the FBI conduct a preliminary inquiry into allegations made by a blank concerning child sexual abuse by a group known as the Finders, and which role, if any, was played by the United States intelligence community. The following information is provided as background for San Diego. In 1987 in Stewart, Florida, blank, blank, the children who attended the school during the time of alleged sexual abuse was blank, 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 has attempted to interest congressional members and the U.S. Customs Service in his efforts to enhance the efforts in the area of child sexual abuse and investigating claims of organised sexual abuse. During October 1993, blank met with Congresswoman Rose. Looks like we've read that bit. Conspired to cover up those abuses. Yep. The Finders Group came to public. Yep, we've read most of that has been read already. USCS during one of these searches. Joint investigation. Yep, the children's fathers. District of Columbia with prosecution declined. Yes, we've read that. Yep, we've read that too. They were just apparently no violations, just a alternative lifestyle group. This looks like a duplicate. Blank, that USCS agent blank was present at one of the locations and could possibly corroborate the existence of the documents in question. WMFO has interviewed MPD and FBI personnel involved in the Finders investigation, and to date has been okay. We have read that. Yep, we just did read that. So it's a duplicate. Contact RAC, flyer, telephone, a lot of blanks. Contact blanks, subtle results to FBI HQ. Okay. USCS headquarters could provide only this telephone number, but advised the USCS Internal Affairs Office located at 1681 W Main Street, El Centro, California. Telephone number blank could locate blank, specifically ascertain blank role in the 1987 Finders investigation. The conduct of the two MPD searches, what specifically was seen by blank at the sites, what efforts blank made to open a USCS case on Finders, and his knowledge of the blank. Forwarded results as outlined above. RE WMFO teletype to the Bureau dated the 8th of the 11th, 93. Supervisory Special Agent, that's what it is, Supervisory Special Agent blank, has been assigned to the Behavioural Sciences Service Unit, BSSU, FBI Academy, Quantico, Virginia, Blank and specialises in training, research and case consultation in the area of sexual victimisation of children. The following are the best recollections of SSA concerning his involvement in caption matter. From the 9th to the 13th of the 2nd, 87, the BSSU sponsored an advanced sexual exploitation of children seminar held at the Xerox Training Center in Leesburg, Virginia, for approximately 50 state and federal investigators. SSA Blank, Special Agent Blank, U.S. Customs Reston, Virginia, was one of the several U.S. Customs agents who attended. S.A. Blank, discussing the role of U.S. Customs in the investigation of sexual exploitation of children, because one of the topics discussed during the seminar was allegations of ritual child abuse. S.A. Blank and other law enforcement attendees, his recent involvement with the execution of a search warrant on a property in Washington, D.C., occupied by a group called the Finders. S.A. Blank and a whole lot of blanks. Shortly thereafter, SSA Blank was telephonically contacted on several occasions by FBI agents and supervisors from FBI HQ, WMFO, and Tallahassee Resident Agency, seeking advice and guidance concerning the FBI's involvement in the investigation of the Finders. The primary guidance sought concerned the interview of the children identified in Tallahassee, Florida, as potential victims of members of Finders. Eventually, it was decided that because the children in question did not appear to have been kidnapped in violation of federal statutes, the interviews of the children would be conducted by local police from Washington, D.C. and Florida. Sometime in the months after the investigation began, in February 1987, during an unrelated conversation, S.A. mentioned to SSA that investigative reports on the Finders case, blank, blank, blank. On another occasion in the same general time frame, S.A. Blank MFO briefed SSA Blank at Quantico, Virginia, concerning the FBI investigation of the Finders. At no time during this discussion did S.A. indicate that her investigation was hindered or disrupted in any way by any alleged connection between the Finders. Blank briefly discussed the fact that S.A. Blank seemed to be the only investigator who observed certain items of alleged evidence discussed in his memo. Yeah, they were probably quickly hidden, especially if they pointed to anyone important. During the years following the two-time February 1987 investigation, SSA has from time heard rumours from the media and others that there was some connection between the Finders and blank. I'd say the CIA. SSA blank has no first-hand knowledge of such a connection. More importantly, SSA blank is aware of no evidence to indicate that the allegations of sexual exploitation of children in the Finders case were not thoroughly and properly investigated in spite of alleged connections to the CIA. I think, or blank. In summary, because of his expertise concerning sexual victimisation of children, SSA Blank briefly consulted with investigators involved in the Finders case back in 1987. He himself, however, conducted no investigation in captioned case. In contact with the U.S. Customs Service attaché, blank blank U.S. Embassy, The Hague, 1228 and 1230, it was determined that he vaguely remembered the case involving caption group, but given the time lapse was unclear on any specific details. Blank advised, however, that he did not recall any allegations of CIA or FBI involvement in any cover-up of the investigation. A more detailed interview of Blank will occur on his return from leave in mid-January 1994. Another FBI cover sheet. On the 7th of the 1st, 94, Deputy Chief Blank, Property Division, MPD DC Telephone Blank was advised of the ongoing effort by WMFO to ascertain the disposition of evidence seized by MPD in February 1987. Blank advised he would attempt to determine from a review of all property receipts for 1987 whether any information remains within MPD records. He expected this effort to take 1 week. Up to page 274. We're getting there. To SAC, from SAC. Reference the January 3rd, 1994 teletype from WMFO to the Director Miami and San Diego, and the January 5th, 1994 teletype from San Diego to the Director and WMFO. Enclosed for WMFO are the original and one copy of 1 FD302 detailing the results of the interview of blank blank, and 1A envelope containing the original interview notes. As requested in the January 3rd, 1994 teletype from WMFO, blank United States Customs Service USCS agent, blank was interviewed on January 3rd, 1994. The results of the interview were provided to WMFO via teletype on January the 5th, 1994. The FD302, according to the interview of blank, was telefaxed to WMFO as requested on January the 6th, 1994. The original and one copy of the FD302 recording the interview of blank and the original interview notes are enclosed. San Diego will recontact blank on January the 28th, 1994 to determine if he has located any personal notes concerning caption matter. To ADIC WMFO from S Special Agent. On the 13th of the 1st, 94, writer met with Special SSA blank VCU CID FBI HQ concerning the status of captioned investigation. Attached to this memo are the following items provided to the writer by SSA blank. Number 1, SSA blank memo dated the 21st of the 12th, 93, detailing the results of FBI HQ indices checks. Number 2, Ad POTS 22nd of the 12th, 93, requests blank and USDS to query the records for references to captioned matter. Number 3, SSA blank memo dated the 7th of the 1st, 94, detailing the results of the Division 5 FCI indices checks. Number 4, FBI HQ routing slip dated the 13th of the 1st, 94, detailing the results of FBI HQ informant file searches. Writer briefed SSA blank concerning the status of the WMFO's investigation. SSA blank and writer concurred that the following represented the balance of outstanding leads concerning captioned matter. Number 1, interview of blank led to Leggett, Brussels. Interview of blank led to Miami Division. Interview of blank WMFO. Interviews with MPD concerning evidence disposition. Number 5, review of blank USDS files. FBI HQ request made. To Unit Chief from SSA blank, from SSA blank, subject finders. A search of FBI HQ indices was conducted for blank file. Reviews were conducted on indices references identified by the indices search as follows. 7-20191. This is the main file concerning the investigations in 1987 wherein blank were arrested by the Tallahassee Police Department, Tallahassee, Florida, and charged with misdemeanor child abuse. A review of this file is as follows. On the 4th of the 2nd, 87, blank were arrested by Tallahassee Police Department, TPD, on misdemeanor child abuse charges. The two subjects were arrested after a complaint was made that 6 children were playing in a park seemed to be unkempt and neglected. The two subjects with the children could not initially provide sufficient information as to their legal custody of the children and were uncooperative regarding their identity or the children's identity. After the subjects were arrested, the TPD obtained information from the children that they were from the Washington, D.C. area. TPD and FBI Jacksonville contacted the Youth Services Division in Washington, D.C. in an effort to further identify the children. The FBI got involved in the investigation at this time due to the possibility that the children had been kidnapped. The vehicle registration records for a van that the men had in their possession when requested reflected that it was registered to a blank blank. A joint investigation by the Washington Metropolitan Police Department, MPD, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation led to the identification and interview of the mothers of the 6 children in question, 2 of the fathers, and several other key members of the finders group. All persons interviewed claimed their group consisted of an alternate communal type lifestyle made up of intellectuals who have chosen to live the way they do. The mothers were all aware that the children had been taken to Florida on a trip they were familiar with and thoroughly trusted the men in whose care the children had been placed, and all insisted the children were well cared for. On the 18th of the 2nd, 1987, the United States Attorney's Office, WDC, declined prosecution in this matter for the violation of USC Title 18, Sections 1201 and 1251, which is kidnapping and child abuse or trafficking or something. Subjects blank were released from the custody of the TPD on the 17th of the 3rd, 1987, and all charges against them were dropped. Serial number 2, photos of subjects and children. Teletype from WMFO to FBI HQ, RE blank blank of finders, allegedly a blank, also results of search warrants of property owned by blank in Washington, D.C. Serial number 15, teletype from JK to FBI HQ, dated the 7th of the 2nd, 1987, synopsis of investigation to date. Number 16, teletype from FBI Richmond, 166C-841 to FBI HQ, dated the 7th of the 2nd, 1987, RE results of search warrants on property owned by blank, Virginia by Virginia State Police. Search warrants did not produce evidence of federal or state violations of the law concerning sexual exploitation of children. However, it appears the children found in Florida had lived at this location. Serial number 20, Airtel from FBI HQ to Jacksonville, dated the 10th of the 3rd, 1987, responding to Odysee's check request. Number 24, teletype from WMFO to FBI HQ, RE interview of blank blank provides info pertaining to Finders Group and explanation of incident in Florida. Number 26, Airtel from WMFO to FBI HQ, dated the 1st of the 4th, 1987, advising that AUSA blank declined prosecution in this matter, stating that there is no evidence of federal violation, no additional investigation in this case. And I'd love to know who these blanks are, as I said. I'd like to know who said there was no evidence. 2190-HQ-60055- serial number 3 is an Airtel dated the 20th of the 2nd, 1992 from Director FBI to SAC Jacksonville. This Airtel enclosed original Jacksonville files sent to FBI HQ for duplication and FOIPA processing. The subject was the finders and the requester was blank. There is no other information concerning blank. Number 3190-2-122278, Section 1253. Serial 122278 is an FBI HQ Records Management Division response dated the 19th of the 5th, 1987 to blank blank in response to a FOIPA request from blank. This response revealed no information in addition to that furnished to you by the letters dated September the 11th, 1985 and November the 6th, 1985. This file deals with the Freedom of Information Act FOIA request from blank. Serial number 1 is a letter from Isabel M. Petty, blank, to the Records Management Division, Federal Bureau of Investigation. This letter notes that Isabel Petty, blank, blank. The letter notes that her blank had made an FOIA request to blank for any information concerning him in their files. Serial 2 is a letter from blank to Mr. Clarence Kelly, Director FBI, concerning his FOIA request. This letter noted that blank, 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 serial number 4 times 2 is an undated letter from blank concerning an FOIA request. This letter notes that he was born blank, Virginia, and that he was retired from the blank. This letter noted he was currently blank, Washington, D.C. This document is undated, however. It is block stamped the 15th of the 2nd, 85. Serial number 11 is a letter dated the 19th of the 9th, 85 from USAF concerning an attached record concerning blank. This serial had attached a copy of an Airtel dated 8th of the 7th, 83 and marked secret from SAC Alexandria, file number 9B-665 to Director FBI. This Airtel noted that subject blank is a white male, blank blank. This location initially drew the interest of local police authorities and military intelligence agencies due to the subject's alleged narcotic activities and his self-proclaimed connection with blank, blank, blank. A number of surveillances were conducted jointly by the Virginia State Police and the Military Intelligence Agency, however no arrests were made. Serial number 16 is a communication dated the 26th of the 8th, 87 to blank, blank through blank. The communication is 5 pages in length and contains various data on personal, political, and economic information on individuals and organizations as described by blank. The letter opens with the remark blank. A copy of this communication is attached. Number 5, 9-HQ-67521. This file contains 2 serials and the subject of the file is blank, Finders. Finders International, Ragged Mountain Research Center, blank dash victim, extortion, Alexandria, and concerns a complaint by blank that blank. An Airtel dated the 12th of the 5th, 83 from SAC Alexandria to Director FBI enclosed an LHM which provided information received from an attorney in Culpeper, Virginia, that occultist group known as the Finders and blank is presently headquartered at 3918 W Street, NW, Washington, D.C. The group maintains a warehouse at 1307 4th Street, NE, Washington, D.C., and a 600-acre farm near Nethers, Virginia. An Airtel dated the 8th of the 7th, 83 from SAC Alexandria to Director FBI noted that the AUSA Alexandria, Virginia, would not consider prosecution and no further investigation was conducted. Number 6, 100-HQ-458429- serial number 17 is a memorandum dated 29th of the 10th, 71 from SAC Richmond to Director FBI. The subject of this file was blank security matter anarchist 00 Baltimore. This communication reported that blank blank, which may in part both in Madison County and Rappahannock County, Virginia, that blank blank VA. There is no other reference to blank. Number 7, 62-0-83025, Section 372. Nothing there. Number 862-HQ-115530- serial 31X is a memorandum dated 31st of the 3rd, 75 from Director FBI to the Director of Special Operations, Headquarters Office of Special Investigations, Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., concerning a Freedom of Information Act FOIA request from the U.S. Air Force who were attempting to respond to an FOIA they had received from blank. By liaison. December the 22nd, 1993, Secretary of State attention, Office of the Legal Advisor. From Larry A. Potts, Assistant Director, Criminal Investigation Division, FBI Headquarters. Subject Finders Group. Enclosed are the 2 copies of a letterhead memorandum regarding the Finders Group. The enclosed memorandum details the investigation of the caption group by the U.S. Customs Service and the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Recently, the Department of Justice undertook a review of the 1987 investigation and determined that additional investigation is warranted. Specifically, the Department of Justice requested that the FBI conduct a preliminary inquiry into the allegations made by blank concerning child sexual abuse by the group known as the Finders, and what role, if any, was played by the United States intelligence community. The FBI therefore requests that you search all records of your agency regarding the following individuals and/or entities. Number 1, Finders or Finders Group. 2, Finders Transnational. 3, Finders Transnational Ragged Mountain Ranch Research Center. 4, General Scientific Cooperation, Rockville, Maryland. 5, the Information Bank, 1307 4th Street, NE, Washington, D.C. Number 6, Future Enterprises. And number 7, Women's Networking Service. Do you really think they only had 20 people in their group? Really? They're running all this and they only had 20 people in their group? Secretary of State, Attention Office of Legal Advisor. 9, Isabel Petty, aka Isabel M. Petty. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all blank. Diane Sherwood is number 16. 17 is Barbara Sylvester. Should you identify records or files containing information, please notify the FBI and arrangements will be made to review this information. In the event that there is no record of the Finders, please advise as soon as possible. Your point of contact is Supervisory Special Agent blank, FBI Headquarters, telephone such and such. Your cooperation in this matter is much appreciated. Enclosures 2. Okay, 22nd of December, 1993. Secretary of State, to the Secretary of State, Attention Office of Legal Advisor, from Larry, puts Finders Group, enclosed 2 copies. Is this the same again to someone else? Yep, it's the same one. Okay, just written to someone else. Note, during the week of November 1st, 1993, SSA blank Violent Crimes Section conferred with SSA's blank blank Office of Liaison and International Affairs, OLIA, Domestic Liaison Unit, DLU, regarding the appropriate method of approach to the U.S. Department of State, USDS, and the blank was advised that due to the nature of the request, the proper entities within the USDS, blank, to process this request is the Office of General Counsel, and that the FBI's request should be in letterhead memorandum format. The OLIA DLU volunteered to reduce the documentation provided by SSA blank to LHM format suitable for dissemination to the USDS blank and are to be delivered by liaison. On the 8th of the 12th, 93, Unit Chief blank, Violent Crimes Unit, Violent Crimes and Major Offenders Section, Criminal Investigative Division, discussed with Deputy Assistant Attorney General DAAG John Keeney the FBI's concern in requesting the blank blank Department of State DOS to conduct a search of their records for the Finders when they could potentially be subjects in the preliminary inquiry concerning the Finders. DAAG Keeney stated words to the effect that we must rely on the integrity of blank and the DOS to conduct a thorough records check, and he stated that he concurred with the submission of these letters by the FBI to blank the DOS. This matter was coordinated between SSA's blank blank, OLIA, and SSA's blank and blank CID. The following excerpts include information contained in an undated memorandum from Acting Chief George C. Bergassa to Acting Assistant Attorney General John C. Keeney, Criminal Division, Department of Justice, Washington, D.C., and information obtained from the records of the Washington Metropolitan Police Department, MPD, and the U.S. Customs Service, USCS. These excerpts provide the details of this investigation and are the basis of the Department of Justice's request that the FBI conduct a preliminary investigation to determine if more comprehensive investigation is warranted. On February the 4th, 1987, the Tallahassee Police Department, TPD, Tallahassee, Florida, responded to a complaint that a well-dressed white male was seen in a park with several unkempt children. The TPD spoke with the adult male, who told them that he was a Washington, D.C. school teacher who, together with another adult male, was in the process of taking the children to Mexico. The purpose of the trip was to set up a school for brilliant children in Mexico. The male refused to provide additional information about the children, and the second male refused to provide any information about himself. The police arrested the two men after they determined the children seemed neglected and the two men could not provide sufficient information as to their legal custody of the children. The two men were subsequently identified as blank. The TPD contacted U.S. Customs, USC, and continued their investigation by attempting to ascertain whether a van in which the two men and children were travelling could provide any additional leads as to the identities of the men or children. On February 5th, 1987, a U.S. Customs Special Agent, USCSSA in Tallahassee, Florida, called USC Headquarters USCHQ, asking if they could assist in contacting an appropriate local police agency to coordinate a child abuse investigation with the TPD. Additionally, several names, addresses, and vehicle identification numbers were checked through the USC child pornography database, as there was some suspicion of the two males being involved in supplying children for the production of child pornography. The computer checks by USC were negative. They could have been supplied for something else, guys. Subsequently, USCHQ, Washington, D.C., contacted Metropolitan Police Department, MPD, and determined that they were interested in the information and that search warrants were being considered for two addresses in the District of Columbia. MPD invited the USC to observe the execution of the search warrants in the event that evidence of USC violations was recovered. And there's a huge blank there. Search warrants were prepared by the United States Attorney's Office, District of Columbia, for both the warehouse residents. A USCSA participated in the execution of the search warrant at the 3918-3920 W Street address, where he claims to have seen the following. It's blanked out. On February the 6th, 1987, the USCSA met with the representatives of the MPD at the 4th Street address and examined the warehouse during blank. On March 31st, 1987, the USCSA contacted the representatives of the MPD to review the evidence seized during the February search warrants. A meeting was scheduled for the 2nd or 3rd of April. On April 2nd, 1987, when the USCSA arrived to meet with MPD, the MPD detective was not available. A third-party MPD officer advised the USCA that he was willing to talk to him off the record. The USCSA claims that the MPD officer told him that all blank blank blank. During a USC review of the finder's investigations, USC representatives noted that an MPD report dated February 19th, 1987 has been redacted, obviously. Blank, Future Enterprises operates out of the warehouse at 1307 4th Street, NE. Another big blank. MPD investigation reveals that the finders had at one time attempted to infiltrate General Scientific Corporation's Rockville, Maryland. Blank, the finders during an interview, blank, blank. Investigation determined that the finders has at one time been known as the Women's Networking Service. The Information Bank, located at 1307 4th Street, NE, Washington, D.C. Finders Transnational and Finders Transnational Ragged Mountain Research Center. Investigation also indicated that blank, blank, Diane Sherwood and Barbara Sylvester had been the original founders of the finders, and that blank, blank, blank. They're sharing some names, so I might do a dig into some of these names later. Okay, what am I up to? 289. I'll keep going a little bit more. Finders group, on Okay, I think this is another duplicate. Yep, it is another duplicate. All FBI information contained herein is unclassified. F1 name search summary extract. This will perform an exact name search on the name and user enters. Will output the name per number, per no, num-o, and the OO file number. Okay, date of birth search, phone number search. And that was also another duplicate. Okay. Okay. I'll read from here on. Diane Sherwood, blank information concerning. I'm just going to read serial number 1 is a FOIA request form dated the 21st of the 12th, 82 from Diane Elizabeth Sherwood, date of birth 2nd of the 12th, 36. At Chicago, Illinois, Sherwood listed a passport number of 234580000. Serial number 3 is a form 4-828 dated 2nd of the 2nd, 83 from FBI HQ Records Management Division to Miss Diane Elizabeth Sherwood, 3918 Street, NW, Washington, D.C., 20007. This serial is a letter dated 24th of the 2nd, 83 from FBI HQ Records Management Division to Ms. Diane Elizabeth Sherwood, 3918 Street, NW, Washington, D.C., 20007, and is a response to Ms. Sherwood's FOIA request concerning Barbara F. Sylvester. Barbara Sylvester. This serial is a 4-837 FOIA request dated 3rd of the 2nd, 83 from Ms. Diane Elizabeth Sherwood, 3918 WS, NW, Washington, D.C., 20007. This form listed the subject of the request as Barbara Sylvester, date of birth the 9th of the 12th, 36 at Chicago, Illinois. Blank, not identifiable as Barbara Sylvester, date of birth 9th of the 12th, 36. This serial is a memo dated the 8th of the 3rd, 60 to Director FBI from SAC, New York, and is captioned blank. Security matter, ISPO, miscellaneous information concerning. Number 4, blank, serial 29. This is a teletype dated the 7th of the 2nd, 87 from FBI Jacksonville to Director FBI and summarizes investigation to date. The information concerning blank is the same as information in serials number 11 and 15. Serial number 24, teletype from WMFO to FBI HQ, RE interview of blank. This communication provides information pertaining to Finders Group and explanation of incident in Florida. Serial number 15, teletype from JK to FBI HQ, dated 7th of the 2nd, 87. Synopsis of investigation to date. This teletype repeats information concerning blank as found in 11. Serial number 11, this is a teletype dated the 9th of the 2nd, 87 from SAC, Tampa to Director. FBI reported that a blank blank associated with 2 women was blank blank. Serial number 9, this is a teletype from WMFO to FBI HQ, RE blank blank, reported results of search warrants of property owned by blank in Washington, D.C. Blank was identified as having been blank. Serial number 1, this is an Airtel dated 13th of 2nd, 87 from SAC Jacksonville to Director FBI, which enclosed a list of names which had been recovered from subjects blank blank when arrested in Tallahassee, Florida by the Tallahassee Police Department. Blank name was listed along with the remarks, redirect phone line hold on for 5 seconds till you hear the message blank. The Information Bank, 1307 4th Street, NE, Washington, D.C. There was no record in indices. Number 6, Sergeant John H. Stitcher, Jr., Washington Metropolitan Police Department, 1-HQ-30106. This file is captioned John Henry Stitcher, Jr., Sergeant Metropolitan Police Department, Washington, D.C. applicant 51st session FBI National Academy and concerns his nomination to attend the FBI National Academy. Number 7. Blank, there was no indices references to blank. Number 8, Future Enterprises, Inc. There was 2 indices references. 7-HQ-20191 Serial 1, page 3. This is an Airtel dated 13th of the 2nd, 87 to Director FBI from SAC Jacksonville, which enclosed a 2-page list of names and addresses which had been recovered from subjects blank. Time they were arrested and booked into the Leon County Jail, Tallahassee, Florida, by the Tallahassee Police Department. The listing contained the notation Future Enterprises, Inc., 662-7676, 662-7616, night. There was no further description or information concerning Future Enterprises, Inc. in this serial. 63-0-8116- this is a memorandum dated the 27th of the 2nd from blank to the Director of the FBI. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it there for now. I'll carry on. I'll see if I can do another one. It's morning here in Australia, so I'll see if I can do another one tonight. And I'll continue on tomorrow anyway. Okay, guys, if you like it, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you like, and if anything sticks out to you and you pick up on anything I haven't picked up on. I'm not going to give too much of my impressions on things. I'm just trying to read the document at the moment, but I am coming across a lot of things that are like sending little light bulbs off in my head. Anyway, guys, as I said, like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.